and welcome to the Marin Women's Hall of Fame. I'm your host, Karen Anderson. For over 20 years, the Marin Women's Hall of Fame has honored and inducted over 110 women into the Hall of Fame, recognizing their amazing accomplishments in a variety of categories that serve not only our community here in Marin, but often nationally and even internationally. In 2010, Marilee Eckert was honored in the category of youth leadership. Marilee is the executive director of the North Bay Conservation Corps, which you might have known formerly as the Marin Conservation Corps, and has dedicated her life to the environment and to working with youth. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I love the montage. What a wonderful, I know it's hard to pick, but you picked some wonderful photos. And because we are so much about women, I noticed that one particular photo, and you mentioned to me that you really honor the women that have come before you. That was, I think, you as a baby. Tell us about that photo.
Yeah. That photo, it was one of the first photos in the montage, and that was me being held by my mother with my grandmother and great-grandmother. So it was 4 generations, and it's just a really special photo to me.
I can imagine, and I suspect there's sort of a bittersweet remembrance of that photo too, because I understand that you lost your mother at a very early age.
Yes, well, my mother got Lou Gehrig's disease, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, when I was 13. She was diagnosed, and she died in my senior year in high school. Oh. So that was an extremely difficult time for me.
I can imagine. I can imagine. And that's the years that you're really, those are the, you were probably really close to your mother, and I'm sure she was a wonderful role model for you.
I was really close to my mother, so it was a really difficult loss for me. And part of my dedication to women and to helping other young women comes from that, really, because it was a situation that I don't think I could have gotten through without the help of a lot of people who cared about me and helped take care of me through that process. And after my mom died, were there for me and made sure that I kept on track and became successful. So I feel like I owe that.
Yes, I understand that. None of us really do anything alone, and those kinds of support, from close women friends, for many of us, really makes the difference. And it's wonderful the way you took that experience that is so deep and so devastating, and turned it into a real learning and motivation to move ahead.
Well, it's one of those things that. Sometimes things happen in life for a reason, and that's my belief anyway. And I think that it helped prepare me for my life's work, really. And I would never go back and choose to lose my mother, because it was so difficult, and it's so fundamental. It's a core piece, when you lose a parent. It's very, very difficult.
Yes.
So I would never choose to do that again, but I do think that it led me to where I am today. And going through that experience and having the sensitivity about it, down to working with Corps members at the Conservation Corps. Many of our Corps members have had a hard time early on in their life and into their teen years, and they're at a point where they're struggling and trying to figure out which way to go with the rest of their life. And having had that experience increases my sensitivity to that and makes me better at my job.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's a beautiful gift. It's a gift your mother gave to everyone.
And then I have 4 daughters, which you also saw in the montage.
Yes.
And they're all Ethiopian. So that's been a great experience for me to adopt them and bring them into my life. And it's really helped me to, my own experience of losing my parent has helped me to be a better parent to them and understand what it is to lose. They lost family members, they lost their country and came to a new country and had to adjust to this life in America. And I mean, even though many people might say that they're lucky to be able to come to America and have the opportunities that they have here, it's a big loss for any child to leave their country and leave their culture. And I'm hoping that I'm sensitive to that and really can help them move through that in a way that is good for them.
Yeah, well, they're absolutely gorgeous. Those pictures, they're just gorgeous. What made you decide specifically to adopt from Ethiopia? Was there some other connection or some kind of message that you received from somewhere that said this was the right path to go on?
Well, I have friends that adopted a baby from China, and they sent me this little photo of this baby while she was still in China. And I was going, wow, how does this soul of this person born in China end up in a family in Boston? And I feel like it was meant to be for her to eventually be there. So how does all that work? And I was just really pondering that. And I didn't have any kids then, so I had a lot more time.
And a lot more theories about it too, right?
I had a lot more time to think about things like that. And I started looking on the internet, and I noticed that there were a lot of older kids in this country and in other countries waiting for families. And I started looking around my own house and seeing, wow, we have a lot of space here. There's only 2 of us, and we could help somebody out. And that was really the decision. And then Ethiopia, there's just a lot of need in Ethiopia and in Africa in general. The AIDS epidemic is devastated the country, and there's many children that don't have families, millions.
Yes.
So it's choosing Ethiopia or choosing a country in Africa was an easy thing, really, because of the need in the country.
Yeah. Well, I think it's I'm touched by that, because I think that there is something about, we talk about wanting to make a difference, and I think you have actually done that. I mean, you have really made a real claim to doing something worthwhile, but you probably get more than you think you give. I mean, I can imagine there's such joys in your life. They're just beautiful girls, and they were there the night you were honored.
Yes.
How did that feel for you the night? The dinner, of course, always is in March, which is the Marin Women's Hall of Fame dinner, but is Women's History Month.
Right.
So here you are with 4 daughters. I mean, that must have been quite remarkable for you.
Well, it was a really special night for many reasons. I had many friends there. There were 4 women that nominated me to the Hall of Fame, and that was a huge honor in itself, because they're all women that I deeply respect. So that was Phyllis Faber, Pam Lloyd, Carrie Mazzoni, and Sally Ann Wilson.
And Phyllis Faber is an honoree herself.
Right.
Yeah, so that.
And so is Pam Lloyd.
And Pam Lloyd, yeah, that's great.
So that meant a lot to me right there. And then I had many colleagues and friends, but really the people that meant the most to me being there was the Corps members from the Conservation Corps. I was fortunate to be able to invite, because of the generosity of some of our board members, some of the Corps members to come to the dinner, and then my own daughters and my own family being there.
Yeah.
And some of my friends told me that my daughters were just lit up while I was getting the award, and they were very excited, and that just, that meant everything to me.
Yeah, I could really, really understand that. Now, you said many of the Corps members were there. And we want to do want to talk about the Conservation Corps, but let's just briefly talk about you. Here you were, you grew up in Pennsylvania,
right?
Long way from California,
right.
And started to work, I think you told me, at some summer camps. So how did that trail happen, literally, to get from Pennsylvania out here to California?
Well, I grew up in Pennsylvania. My family had 24-acre farm and we had horses on it. And that's
We saw you riding.
yeah,
Yes.
that's what
That's great,
we
yeah.
did with our farm. We grew a few crops, but it was mostly to support the horses, like hay and
Yeah,
some
I
grains,
get it.
things like that. But I have a passion for horses, and since the time I was a little kid. When I was 2 years old, my uncle had a horse, and I would go to his house and I would scream and not want to get off the horse when it was time to give my cousins a chance, you know. So that has been with me for a long time. And so then I went to camps, working at camps in the summer, because that was a way that I could earn money in the summer and still ride horses. And I worked one summer in Wyoming leading horse packing trips, and then 2 summers in Colorado. And I just fell in love with the West. And I said, I want to move west of the Rockies.
Well,
you
we
know?
here in Marin understand that, of
Yeah,
course.
right.
Yeah, it's
I
beautiful,
would-
yeah.
Yeah, this is my home forever,
yeah.
for sure now. And then I ended up at Chico at the university there working in student affairs, and then came to the Bay Area. I worked at Oakland Youth Works, which was a job training program for inner city youth for 7 years before I came to the Conservation Corps. And I've been here for 18 years.
18 years, fabulous. That's just fabulous. So give us a kind of an overview of the now named Conservation Corps North Bay. I'm going to get this right, which was formerly Marin Conservation Corps, because you've expanded. But give us an overview of what the program does and what their intention is.
Oh, that's always a hard thing to answer because our programs are so diverse. Our mission is to develop youth and conserve natural resources for a strong, sustainable community. And if you think about those 3 things, that kind of sums up what our goals are. We want to develop youth and give them good opportunities to grow. We want to conserve our natural environment and our natural resources, which is really important at this time especially, and then make our communities stronger through doing those things. So we do that. We have a wide variety of programs. We work with Corps members who are, the majority of our Corps members have had a hard time in their lives, and they've struggled with, they might have been involved in gangs, they might have been doing drugs, some of them don't speak English, some of them dropped out of high school. So we actually have a charter school at the Corps, so Corps members can come to us and actually get a high school diploma through our program. That's an important piece of the youth development side. But for those Corps members, it's getting their life on track. And then we have other Corps members, like now we have a farm, which is one of my favorite, I shouldn't say that, but I'm.
Oh, it's all right, you can say that.
One of my favorite programs, and we manage and run the organic farm and garden at Indian Valley campus of College of Marin.
I just think is that a first?
It is.
It is. So this can be a fabulous role
Yes.
model. So you, everyone is. Matter of fact, I think there was a picture of you out there digging.
Right. Well, that was the compost
Oh, that was
pile.
the compost. Okay,
Yeah.
it was a little hard to
Yeah,
tell. but
I was
yeah.
adding some things to the compost
That's
pile.
lovely.
Right.
And but you were out there. Your hands were in the dirt essentially,
Right.
which was wonderful. So this is actually a curriculum that now someone can take at the College of Marin.
Right. Well, how it works is that we put in the farm, and we're managing the farm. The college, so it's a collaboration between the Conservation Corps, College of Marin, and the UC Extension, and especially the Master Gardeners, which is a
Fabulous.
great collaboration. The college is developing their curriculum, so they now have classes that teach people about farming, but they already had environmental landscaping classes that this has just boosted that whole level of the program, and it's made the enrollment at Indian Valley campus go through the roof.
Right. Now, you sell
So-
some of the produce that's there, correct?
Yes,
That
we
you
do.
actually- Where do
Yeah.
you sell it?
Well, we have on-farm sales on Tuesdays, but that could expand to more days, especially during the summer. We're starting at the Novato Farmers Market, and we also provide produce to some daycare centers and some restaurants.
Fabulous. You know, there was an article not too long ago in the Pacific Sun. It was the cover article saying that there is a nature deficit disorder
Right.
in children. We've become so attuned to cell phones and computers and, you know, video games that we have lost our connection with the earth, with nature, and it's been damaging. What do you see that makes a difference, that helps shift these kids because they're out literally digging in the dirt?
Right. Well, that brings me to a couple of our other programs that I definitely want to talk about, and then we'll circle back. How about
Okay,
that?
okay, that's good, that's good.
We have some programs that are, we call them AmeriCorps programs because they are partially funded by AmeriCorps, and the core members in that particular program are AmeriCorps members, and they are mostly college grads in that program. So we serve from the kid who dropped out of high school to college grads in the Corps. And, you know, so if they go to Indian Valley campus, they can actually be Corps members while they're
Oh, okay, all right.
also students. I kind of moved away from that topic, but it's a complex program, but there's lots of ways you can be involved. So, and then these other core members, we have the Youth and Environmental Service and the Restoration Ecosystem Management Team.
That's a
And-
mouthful.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, well, we call it REM, so, but
Okay.
it's not like deep sleep.
Yeah. Hopefully
the
not. Yes,
opposite of
right,
that.
yeah.
And so in those programs, we work with a lot of youth. And in fact, in Youth and Environmental Service, we work with kids in schools. And we have run Chavez clubs in some of the middle schools where we engage kids in service activities and the Chavez values, which is, you know, helping your community, being nice to other people, you know, things like that, all good, great values. And then in the summer, those core members work with our summer program for middle and high school kids. And in fact, because they're AmeriCorps members and because they're really focused on service and the community, they do projects beyond their day-to-day projects. So they put together, last year they put together a hike from up pretty much about halfway up Mount Tam down to Stinson Beach.
Oh,
for
okay.
kids in communities where the kids don't normally get to go hiking and go to the beach.
Yeah.
So,
Nature changes kids, doesn't it?
and it's because they were motivated by that whole nature deficit information, and they wanted to get these kids out. So they had enough of them that there was 1 or 2 kids per core member, and they spent the day with them and hiked down to the beach, and then
Great.
played games and had a little picnic at the beach. It was a great activity.
So it was really a mentoring process, too. I mean, kind of all those things happen.
But they do that day to day in the schools and with the programs they work with. But when they put together a project beyond that, they wanted to do that even deeper and,
Yes.
and have a whole day to spend with kids doing that. So
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
That's really wonderful. So tell us let's see, 18 years, a long time. It's a lifetime of some of the kids that you serve, if you look at it from that way.
Right.
What have you seen as the changes in growth in what was originally the Marin Conservation Corps and now the Conservation Corps North Bay?
Right.
What have you seen as the changes and the growth, and what has been really meaningful to you in that?
Well, when I started 18 years ago, we were pretty much fee-for-service projects. So the core members would work on some trail projects, some flood prevention projects. We did have a great project back then where we were helping seniors do projects in their home that they can, around their home, like maybe clear up their yard or something like that.
Okay.
So that was pretty much our only deviation from a traditional conservation corps at that time. Since then, and we had a GED program for the corps members, but now we have a charter high school, so they actually get their diplomas. We have all the diverse programs I talked to you about from we still do the natural resource projects, which is really critical for our community, actually. It's one of the big ways of keeping our community safe.
Is that and the recycling, is that part of that program
Right.
where the kids actually go to the parks areas and do
Right.
the recycling, correct?
When I started, we didn't have the recycling program, but we were able to add that in. So all those big green bins you see out in the parks, those are ours.
We will think of you every time we're in the parks.
Right, and please use them,
Yeah.
because we pull a lot of those bottles and cans out of the trash, so, and we don't like to do that. So use those green bins to recycle your bottles
Okay.
and cans. So we make the bins, first of all, out of recycled plastic lumber, and then we place them out in the parks, and then we have recycling trucks that go around, run by our corps members and some of our staff drivers, and we go out to all these places and collect that recycling, bring it back and sort it, and make sure that it gets recycled in the proper way. So then we also have all those, we've added in the programs for, well, like at the Indian Valley campus, that was one of the things that was important about adding that program, is that we would get people their high school diploma. We had that program. Then we had the AmeriCorps program for the college grads, but we didn't have a great program that served the corps member who had their diploma and needed to get started on going to college. So now we have corps members who come to us, no high school diploma. They get their diploma through our program. Then they go on to the College of Marin. They can stay in that program. We have AmeriCorps scholarships available in all of our programs so they can be in that program, leave, if they're in our corps and they take 2 full-year AmeriCorps, they sign up for AmeriCorps for a full 2 years, they can have over $10,000 to go on to higher education.
Fabulous.
And,
Yeah.
that's
Now,
so good.
if someone who's watching knows of a teen who is interested in getting involved, how do they do that? What's the process?
Right. Well, they should call our office, and
Or you probably go to your website for more information
Right.
too. I would,
and
which
it's just
is
conservationcorpsnorthbay.org.
okay. We got that.
But if you just Google Conservation Corps North Bay, you're sure to find it. And our phone number's on there. There's all the different ways to contact us. But they would come in and fill out an application. We want to make sure that they are interested in our whole program, they're not just coming there for a job, because we do pay the corps members for the time that they're working on the project. So we don't want them to just come for a job and not want the education component. All of our corps members have an educational component.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
So tell us in just a few words, if you could, about what's your vision? Where do you want to go? What is it that you'd like to see? I know that your budget's like tripled or quadrupled since the time you've done, so you're touching many more people. How about moving ahead? Where would you like to go with the Corps?
Well, the big initiative we have right now is that we have expanded into Sonoma County. And so that's keeping me pretty busy right now, and keeping all of us at the Corps pretty busy, just doing that.
Yeah.
We have 3 sites. We have one San Rafael, Novato, and now Cotati. So we expanded into Sonoma County because there were so many youth there that really needed our program. Gangs have just increased in Sonoma. Almost overnight, they just ballooned. At one point, there was an estimated 300 gang members, and then the next day, almost there were over 3,000. So it just was an explosion. And we talked. Community leaders have come to us for a long time asking, how can we start a Corps in Sonoma County? And then finally, we had an opportunity with some funding to just expand, and that's a surefire way of doing it because we have the expertise. So the Sonoma project's kind of a big thing on our plate right now. So then we'll have, so then in terms of my vision for the world, is that I think that by working locally, we can impact the whole world. And as we're seeing now with the oil spill, with the climate change, I just feel like it's so important to make a change.
And you are doing it. You're an inspiration, and what an honor, justly rendered. I mean, it's so wonderful to have you as a part of the Marin Women's Hall of Fame team. And I want to thank you very much for being here. And I'd like to thank all of you for being with us today. And please go to www.marinwomen'shalloffame.org for more information.